Ngozi Lawman. And Ngozi, I know you've been waiting in the background, and you know Marsha well. And I'm wondering, Ngozi, if you could just thank you. Thank you very much for being here to share sort of a little bit of your interactions there at Harvest.
Yeah, I think I'm just like shocked and traumatized listening to Marsha. I actually met her at a home group, and when I met her, I was struggling with the church. Obviously, the pandemic was rounding up, and my husband and I have experienced so much abusive behaviors at church and even within the home group. So Marsha was the only person that was like bright, innocent adult in the group. And then when she decided to join the children ministry, I was excited, me and my husband. And yeah, so it's sad that someone as competent and loving as Marsha could also experience abuse. For me, I felt like if my husband was being abused, maybe he did something wrong. I mean, he's a tall guy, he's stubborn. But if someone like Marsha was abused, that means these people are just animals. They are not people. They are not healthy at all. I
Not
think Marsha is like a wake up call,
It is
you
a
know.
wake up call. I mean, a lot of churches actually function in this kind of control, manipulation, and harshness, lacking in the spirit. It's amazing. I'm getting stories now actually from across Canada, different churches saying this is what's going on in our, this is currently what it's like to be in our church. So I think it's opening a can of worms is what's happening. Um,
Yeah.
Ngozi, could you tell us sort of some of your interactions? Get the stories that you've shared with me regarding Heather, Nicole, and your experience.
Um, with Heather, she came to Eyes and Wing in Vancouver in 20, I think 16, and I only interacted with her because I found out she and her husband they were friends with my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend Don. So, but the interaction was very strange. She started telling me how some personal things about him that was inappropriate and kind of advising me not to go into the relationship. And I was okay with that in terms of, okay, maybe she's looking out for me. But then I connected with my ex-boyfriend, and he was like, Heather has spoken to him privately about not having a relationship with me. So that was when I was curious, because I'm like, that's strange, because I barely know you and you've already started making judgments about me. I mean, I understand making judgments about my ex-boyfriend, you know him, but for you to be involved in my personal choice, and you know, and I'm just coming into the group, like I'm getting to get to know his church, his friends. So that was a red flag from Eyes and Wings to Kirimat when I went to Kirimat in 2016, and I was connecting with Art and Heather, and I mean, seeing their family and their lives, and then hearing the story about Art Lucier and the church, and his comment about his own daughter that passed away. That was a major red flag, and that was the first time I felt like Kirimat, um, uh, Kirimat, like Harvest Church Kirimat, was a cult. Like that was when I felt it was a cult. I felt like there was a lot of occultism going on with First Nation and shaman behaviors going on. There was so much fear involved. They communicated so much fear that everybody they connected with had fear and communication with you. Like, oh, you can say that, you can do that, touch not my anointed. So anyway, to cut the long story short, they showed up in Kelowna, and that's when the nightmare started. closer to me because I ran away from it. I broke up with my ex-boyfriend, and I felt he should leave Kirima. I felt that was unsafe, and I felt his church was very dangerous for myself and even for him. So I left Kirima. Like I never went back. But in Kelowna, a lot of good people I knew were going there, very amazing people in my life. So I went, especially during the pandemic. I went, and that was when my husband was being abused. If he wasn't abused at church, he was abused in the home group. And if Nicole is not yelling at him and disrespecting him, it was Devon D, their prayer leader or intercession or whatever title they give her to work with. But this woman physically and verbally abuses my husband, like do shh to him, shh, like, and then it's like very, very defeating behaviors. Like when you see this, you want to cry, you're defeated. But there are people that are watching this happen and they don't do anything. In fact, when you confront it, they'll say, Art Lucier wants everybody to listen to the leaders. Divondi will say, we all need to follow leadership, blah, blah, blah. So it was just this normalization of you being dehumanized.
Wow.
There was one day I went to church and Art Lucier looked at me and was complaining about my lipstick. He just gasped at my lipstick and criticized my lipstick. I'm a married woman. I went to church with my family. I don't need my pastor to notice my makeup or my jewelry or my shoe. So you're already going in and there's faults, constant fault finding happening unnecessarily, whether it's how you pray or how you make decisions in your private life.
Or what
If they
lipstick
find
you
out,
wear.
I had a Gucci lipstick. It's a designer lipstick I picked up from Winners. My
Good for
husband
you.
loves it. My husband loves it.
Right, right.
I mean, I'm
And
sporting like a bright lipstick.
you also had, like, as far as, children's church, you really wanted God to, be a part of the church experience for your kids.
Yes, yes. So I was excited with all the new children ministry setup happening. And I know that usually the church used to have everyone there and there was no proper children ministry. So with what Marsha and other people were doing, I was excited. But there was a particular time Mark Briswell was speaking, and the children ministry brought up my kids upstairs with other kids. And that was when Art Lucier started losing it. This time he got involved. And according to his account, Mas Briswell was mad that my kids were running around. But the whole idea was children came up to worship with the adults, and then Max Briswell will speak. So I wonder why they were mad, upset. I felt like I've signed off my kids, and the children ministry and the church will watch them and care for them. Usually I will keep my kids with me. So anyway, Abdulse called my husband, yelled at him, insulted him, did his usual rant with my husband. I wasn't aware. He never said anything to me. But on my end, I felt like Devon D and other people are so like abusive and like leadership is not dealing with him. I'm using my social media to communicate different things about my experiences. And I wasn't being like personal with it. I didn't put anybody's name. I just said generally leaders should encourage an atmosphere where the people they lead and care for other people. It was like a very clean post, and Art Lucier came on it and started attacking me. So when my husband came, I was like, Art Lucier came to my Facebook today to attack me. Is that actually he attacked me too today? I was like, what the heck? It's like he called me, he was abrasive towards me because of our kids and all that. And I'm like, anyway, thanks for catching me up, because I didn't know that this was what happened today, but I felt it was inappropriate for any leader to come on my social media to attack me in front of everyone. I feel like if I did something wrong, the best thing was to privately correct me, but you don't come on my social media where my family and friends are. I'm an immigrant. That's where every family and friend come to connect with me, because I
So
can't just
this
call
was
everybody.
actually like a reprimand on your personal social media?
Yes, it was like a tear down, a shaming strategy to shut me up, even though the post had nothing to do with them. It was a general like feeling that everybody felt that when leaders encourage the people that they are leading to care for other people, then abuse doesn't happen. So like I wasn't even aware of whatever was going on. I'm usually the first person to say, don't gossip to me. Don't tell me about anybody's personal business. Most of what I was dealing with was my own personal experience and what I was observing with my friends. So my comment had nothing to do with art or anybody. It was like a general sentiment.
Right.
And and I was still bullied and attacked for it. And they called me a Jezebel. And
A
Lucia went on
Jezebel.
to preach. Yes, I was always told, my husband was always told I was a Jezebel, an unsubmissive wife. The church taught him that. Leaders in church, men and women, were coaching my husband and telling him how unsubmissive I am. And then Art Lucier made a public preaching and called me a negative Nancy. He didn't
Negative
even do it
Nancy.
privately.
That like,
Yeah,
and that was from the pulpit there.
yes, from
Um,
his pulpit in the church.
hmm.
Over the fact that we wanted our kids to just be received. Like he had someone watching his dog whenever we came with our children. Aduce was a personal friend through my ex-boyfriend, but he never welcomed my kids to the church. He never said, welcome, you have all these beautiful kids. Can I see them? I will say hi. But he had someone to watch his tiny dog. I love animals, but how do you place this dog in high priority over people's actual children when you're pro-life?
Wow. And
No accommodation for children care in the church. They could trample kids if you allowed them,
well,
because they were fighting an important battle.
and this is the
And if you
thing
report
about,
that there was abuse of children in a home, they don't listen to you, they ignore it immediately.
yes, there's actually quite a few stories regarding, children that could be in harm, young people, even runaways, and I've heard that endlessly, and we're going to be covering that.
Yeah.
But but to say, one of the mandates of Jesus himself was suffer the little children to come unto me. I bet they weren't all quiet either. I bet they were kids that were, unruly or whatever. It's always shocking to me that pastors, Mark Brisbois feels he has to complain about children running around when, we all kind of know that kids are kids, and in a church, that's kind of why you have a children's ministry. You know that they're rambunctious, and you just give them a lot of grace, is what I would say. You just love the kids. Maybe you just go down and talk to them for a minute and say, hi, how are you? Tell me your name. And I don't know. But it's interesting that these big apostolic leaders really just are so annoyed by children. And I'd like to bring you, Marcia, to kind of talk about this in light of Ngozi's experience, I think what you were trying to do was you were trying to create a very safe place for beautiful children at church. They don't have any children's church now. They don't want it. They're a warring church. So I guess they just want, you know, older people. I mean, no one with family can try, you know, I mean, it's almost impossible to make church work.
Yeah, you know, we brought the children up for worship, and it was so much joy. Honestly, they brought a whole different perspective to worship for me, anyways. And we had it organized where like each teacher volunteer would have like whatever, like 6 kids if we had a lot of children. So they were manageable groups, and but occasionally you can't, like, you can't solve all the problems. Like some child would be running away or something like that. But it was absolutely beautiful. The worship part was amazing, and we had it so organized that everybody knew what group they were in when we went downstairs and the teaching started. And I'm just so, my heart just breaks for Ngozi that her children weren't, welcomed in. And it just, it really is true. Like every Saturday when I went early to set up for children's ministry, I would like the band would be playing, and I would see Art and, I'm sorry, not Art so much, but Heather and Nicole setting up, and they never acknowledged me. Like they never said, "Oh, hello, God bless you. Hope you have a great kids ministry." No, like I don't think in all the time I was there, they ever acknowledged me when I went in to do my job. Like, and often their back was, so I totally hear what Ngosi's saying. Like, but it breaks my heart because all children should be included, and she has beautiful children. Like, I don't know what the problem there was.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
In closing up, Ngozi, do you have a final statement about your experience with Harvest in general? A final thing that you'd like to share?
The only thing I wanted to say is the Kelowna Harvest Church, just like the Kidemat Harvest Church, they never valued marriage or family life. They didn't see the need for people to be in healthy marriages or have a healthy home life. Most of what they wanted was the donation and the ability for you to go protest and fight whatever battle they ask you to fight. So for me, a lot of my friends and even my husband, they are still healing from the mental damage, like the brainwashing that have happened. Some people even quit their job because they were part of this church. So for me, that's a warning and a red flag. I would advise people not to take their children there. Some people almost lost their kids to sexual human trafficking. So yeah, don't take your kids to anything connected to Art and Heather, Nico, or any of that group. Like that's dangerous. I don't know
Yes.
why they operate under that kind of atmosphere, but that's what happens. You end up struggling in your marriage or having your kids sexually confused for whatever reason. There's too much perversion in those environments because the marriages are not healthy.
It is all tied in, and I know you're saying a lot because I know that you're tying into different stories actually that I've already heard, and we're going to endeavor to give voice to those who have actually experienced some of the things that you're talking about. And the sadness to me is when you talk about the mental anguish, and you did share that the mental anguish of coming out of this and the way that people are treated was very, very difficult. Ngozi, thank you for having the courage to actually speak out loud at this time.
Yeah.
And you are a very precious woman, and we are African sisters.
Yes.
You're from Nigeria, and I was born in Uganda, and suffer the children to come to me. And her whole thing is, we don't have all these different things. We're a warring church. I don't even know what they're warring. This is sort of your experience coming to Harvest Church. Tell us about it. You love children, and you poured your
Yes.
heart and soul into making the children's ministry at this church work.
I really did. My heart is for the children. And when I first joined them as the leader, there was a lot of chaos in children's ministry and infighting, and there just wasn't a team. And by the end, we had built that up to 15 teachers and volunteers, and we were up to like 32, 35 children. And we had, Laura Lynn, we had one of the most, I mean, and please, like, this is not me saying I did this. Like, this really was the hand of God in this ministry, because God sent me like the best of the best women. Like, He sent me a lady who did children's ministry for like 30, 40 years. Like, I had no business leading this woman. So he just put together a team that was unified, and we loved one another, and we prayed together, and we prayed for the children. And it was just beautiful. We were getting miracles. We truly were getting miracles.
Wow, Marcia. So it's so interesting. Like, so this is the same church, because this is such a shocking thing. This was March 9th of this year that Heather Lucier is declaring that we don't have a children's ministry. And you're telling me that it wasn't all that long ago where you had a beautifully functioning children's ministry. And in fact, you said you wanted it to run so smoothly, and it did, with these beautiful women that God had sent you that had a passion
Yes.
to reach the children. Um, you said you wanted it to run so smoothly that it was literally off their radar, so that they could do what they needed to do as leaders in the church.
Yeah, it always had, like, it was such a covering of peace and joy and laughter. And we all were so committed to those kids. And I just remember, one of the little boys, we always prayed with them and asked what were their prayer requests. And one of the little boys, his grandma was really ill. And I remember that entire week, I felt like all of us did that, not just me, but you would take home those prayers and pray them every day for the children. And so I couldn't wait to see him the following week, to just ask, how's this grandma doing? Like, is she feeling better? And she actually was. Like, the prayers were working. And there was this one night, there was four of us, like four teachers, and we had all been praying for each other, like something that was really important to each one of us. And that night, every single prayer had been answered. And one was so profound, because it was a young girl who was a volunteer, who was, she couldn't get pregnant. And she actually told us that she was pregnant that night. It was just beautiful. Like, we really had a beautiful team, such unity, and we would raise each other up and encourage each other, and just love one another. And it was just, yeah, I loved it. I loved the kids, I
Wow.
loved the parents, and I loved our team a lot.
So I met with some folks. I will not call them whistleblowers. I'll just say they're regular people that we kind of got to know at attending Harvest, and they gave me just an astounding story. And I want to know if you think that this is typical of what Heather Lucier might do. But they were excited to bring their grandkids to church, and they brought them in the door, and all of the greeters were kind of busy, and there was Heather Lucier. Now, this lady, they were fairly new to the church, and they were so excited to have their grandkids there. And of course, they didn't know what the children's ministry was like. And so she saw Heather there, and she went up and she said, "Hi, this is my grandkids, and it's our first time here. And, we'd just like to know, what we can do with them, like the children's ministry, what that's like. Could you help us?" And she says, "No, I'm busy. You can go over there to where that to the guest information desk is. And she was so taken back as her little grandkids are watching this grown-up exchange. And apparently what Children's Church was, this is recently, was her 2 grandkids and another boy kicking a ball around. That's it. And they just went, their grandkids literally said, yeah, we don't really like church. We don't like want to go again. And you're telling me that you had a thriving children's ministry in this church that you loved and people were doing it. What went wrong, Marcia?
You know, it's so sad because I hear what you say because I don't know how to explain it. Like it was like children's ministry was the lowest thing, just the lowest thing on the totem pole, and I was completely disrespected, dishonored, not appreciated, overworked, underpaid. I mean, I can go on, but there was a lot that went wrong to the point I did not want to leave. I mean, I did not want to leave. I loved the kids, I loved the parents, I loved our team, I loved all my friends in that church. But it got to a point where I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't deserve to be treated the way I was being treated. And I don't know why, but there's this one story. I mean, there's about a million. When I was making some notes for today, I have 37 pages. Now, that's not everything that just happened to me, but just things I witnessed. And it was really sad. Now, I write big, so maybe we could even have that, but it wasn't okay. And I realized the enormity of just the mistreatment, you know.
Well,
But
let's
so
dive
one
in. Tell,
day,
yeah, go ahead.
okay,
Tell us
so
sort of some of the
um,
hardest times. Yeah.
so one day, Art asked for a meeting with me, and I totally remember the date because of how insane this day was. It was April 1st, it was 2022, and it was a Friday, and I was to be there at 10 o'clock for a meeting with Art. And I got there at quarter to 10, and what happened was Nicole came out. She was at her desk, and I was just waiting, sitting literally beside her desk. And she said to me, Art's not here yet. And I said, no problem, I can wait. And then it just started to get later and way past 10 o'clock. And so she's like, I'll phone him. So then she phoned him, and he had called this meeting. I just want to make that really clear. He had called the meeting with me. So she phoned him and talked to him and came to me and said, look, at 10 o'clock isn't going to work. Can we make it 1 o'clock? And so I said, okay, no problem. So like I'm living downtown. This is in Rutland. So I get back in my car and I drive back home. I get back at quarter to 1 and he's not there. And I wait. And again, it's after 1. She phones him and he says again, this is not going to work. Sorry, can we make it 3? Are
It
you
did feel like
kidding
April
me?
Fool's, I bet, about then.
That's exactly why I remember the date.
Like, am I
Exactly. I
being
thought
punked by the pastor?
this is
Okay.
a joke. This is a joke. So I kind of look at Nicole, but I learned very quickly, keep your mouth shut. Like I learned that, just keep your mouth shut.
What do you mean
So
by
I
that? What
left.
happens if you speak?
You get attacked. Like I just learned it's better to say nothing even if you're right. Like it's just not about being right. It's not about being right. So I left and I went back home and I again came quarter to 3. And I could see that Nicole was a little bit unsettled seeing me come in the third time because Art still was not there. And it went past 3 again and she phoned and she came out. And she said, it's not going to work 3 o'clock. I'm sorry. Something really important, he said, came up. And can we make it 10 in the morning? So
I feel the
I
stress for
just
you. Like the lack of respect for your time, the gas, the driving, that you had to
This
do.
is 3 hours of my time. And yeah, like all of it, all of it. But just the level of disrespect, just the level of disrespect. Anyway, so what happened was I knew not to say anything. Like I was biting my tongue, but I looked at her with a look like, are you kidding me? Like, is this okay for you?
It was
Like,
hard to
is this
hide,
really
right?
okay? Like, I had that look like, okay, I can shut my mouth, God, but she's going to see it on my face.
Right.
So I said, fine, see you at 10. And I left. But I was really upset because the next day was Saturday. And like Friday night, I would go to church. They had Friday night and Saturday night. So I would go Friday night, get filled. And then Saturday, I would do the children's ministry on Saturday night. So this was Friday night, but the next morning is a busy day. Like Saturday's busy for me to get ready to go and stuff. So I had to do that meeting. But anyways, so that night, Friday, where he missed the 3 appointments, I went to church and he announced what happened in front of everyone. So not only did I feel so disrespected, but people started to turn around and look at me, and I was just so embarrassed. I
Did he
felt
use your name?
humiliated
Or,
that,
or how did they know it was
yeah,
you?
he literally said, "Oh boy, I missed a lot of meetings with Marcia today." And like it was so embarrassing because it's bad enough he did it, but he had to like publicly, like it was not good. Anyways, so the next morning, I'm there at 9:45. I'm always early. And he's not there, but he did actually come. This was the
And this would
fourth
be Monday
attempt.
now, Monday morning.
This is Saturday morning.
Oh, Saturday
This is the
morning.
next day. Okay, so
Oh,
this is the
okay.
next day because this
Yeah.
was Friday. This is
Okay.
Saturday morning. And this is why it bothered me because I was busy that day to do children's ministry that night. Okay, I didn't have time for meetings in the morning. But, anyways, I went. He got there about 5 after 10. And we went in, Nicole, Art, and myself, into the room to have a meeting. Now, he did, before we even started the meeting, he said, Marcia, I owe you an apology. Something very important came up yesterday, and I could not come to the meetings. So I said, you know what, Art, all the way over here, I was asking God to help me, forgive you. It's already done. Let's just let it go. Let's move on. However, Nicole was upset. And she said, you owe me an apology, Marcia. And I said, I owe you an apology? She said, you owe me an apology because of the look you gave me. I said, Nicole, I didn't say anything. This was the 3rd time he missed a meeting. And she said, well, you owe me an apology because you gave me a terrible look. Art says nothing. He's just listening to her and I go back and forth. So I thought, you know what? I just want to get this meeting over. So I said, I'm sorry, Nicole, for giving you a look. And then we just had the meeting and left. But when I got home, I went on Facebook and he had posted the day before this, like these pictures saying, oh, it was so fun. One of my friends popped in and we worked on the truck all day. And I could not believe it because he hadn't been honest with me. He told something very important had come up. This was not important. He couldn't have taken 1 hour to just come and meet me. He had called the meeting. Like it was just, I
Wow.
don't even
You
have
know
the
what I'd like
words.
to do right now? I just want to show Nicole continues to come up many times in actually a lot of the conversations that I've been having. The basically a real unkindness and a sort of an aggressive nature. And on this picture, the other night, of course, Art Lucier stepped away, and then they made another announcement last night regarding, the oversight committee. I'm not certain what more it added, but if I could show this, and if you can see that there, can you see, this is the lady, I think, right here. And, she's standing beside Heather. And
Yes.
it has been a long history between them, and they are cousins. And
Yes.
Nicole, I have been told, was probably the one that yelled at Howard Olson the other day, although I have to say I need to confirm that. But uh, I was told that that might be it. And so basically, this is the lady. She's in a lot of the video footage. She's there, all kinds of things that she's involved in. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, that is her. So, okay, so that's kind of the end of this story. Then, like the next story, I'm going to find it a little bit difficult to talk about, to be perfectly honest with you. So, I hope I can deliver it where everybody will understand. So, I went to pick up a friend, and we were heading to like a training or something at the church. And she got in the car and she was super excited because it was just before the battle for Canada. And she was talking about a staff bus, that they had just gotten a staff bus. They already had a bus for anybody who wanted to go to Battle for Canada, but in this situation, it was just for the staff. And she had expressed that Art and Heather were going to cover some of the costs to that. And she was so excited and telling me all about it. And I said, wow, like, would I be able to be on the bus? And she's like, of course, your staff, of course you'll be on the bus. And so I was so excited. But after saying that, I had already promised a friend of mine that I would sit beside her on this other bus. I didn't know there was a staff bus. So I went to this friend and I explained that there was a staff bus and I'm going to be on this staff bus. But I didn't want to just leave her. So I said, why don't you email Harvest and just let's find out when the other bus is, picking people up and the time and date and all of that. So she emailed. So the next day, I get a phone call from Nicole. And I know it's Nicole. It says Nicole on my phone. So I answer it and I say, hey, Nicole. And it's this person that I had picked up yesterday that had told me about the staff bus. And she's like, no, 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 it's blah, 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 her name. And I said, oh, hi. And she's like, I'm calling about the staff bus to go to Battle for Canada. And I said, okay, what do you want to tell me? And she's like, I want to ask you, who told you you would be on the staff bus? And I said, you did. And all of a sudden it clicks. This is Nicole's phone. So Nicole is obviously upset with this person for inviting me on the bus without Nicole's permission. And I'm definitely on speakerphone on that other end. So I have to be a bit careful because I don't want this person, she's my friend, to get into trouble with Nicole. So she says, well, I'm phoning to tell you that you're not invited on the staff bus. And I said, why? And she said, because you're not staff. Okay. Okay. So we just got off the phone.
Did you think
And
you
I thought,
were staff? Like, weren't you getting paid?
yes, I was getting paid, and I was going to staff leadership meetings every Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning every week.
So,
So I'm
like,
not sure
let's talk
why I
about
wasn't.
the psychology of this kind of an exchange. Um, I'm assuming your feelings were hurt because I would be hurt. I'm assuming this would be like, wow, like I'm being treated kind of nasty. I would be quite mortified if it was me. Why would things like this, and I've heard this kind of scenario over and over again. It's like bullying, it's intimidation, it's mean. It's mean girl behavior.
It's really mean. It's really mean. And so I went back to my friend and I said, don't worry about it. I've been uninvited on the staff bus. I'll sit with you on this bus and we'll go. But it didn't stop there. Like it's never enough for them. And so the next day, I get this emergency phone call from Nicole that she's calling like an emergency meeting with me. She needs to talk to me about something. And literally, like, I don't know, she called at like 10 and I had to be at the office at 11. Like, I just went right away. And when I walked in, when I walked in, she brought me into Art's office, and I was not told that Art was going to be part of this meeting. And when I walked in, he was sitting in the chair, but his back was towards me. And I said, "Oh, hi, Art. I didn't know you were going to be in this meeting." And then, so I sat down, and on one side I had Nicole, and the other side I had Art. And this is how the meeting starts. Art looks at me and says, "Do you have anything to say?" And I knew, like, I just felt so uncomfortable there. Like I just knew something was not right. It just wasn't right. And I thought, I didn't call this meeting. What am I supposed to say? But I took a minute and I thought, oh man, I have a lot to say. But I knew just say a little bit. So I looked at Nicole and I said, I do have something to say. I I would like to ask you why you don't appreciate and acknowledge all of my hard work that I do for children's ministry. And the second question I have is why am I considered not staff? Well, she wasn't able to answer because Art got out of his chair and started to scream at me. And the biggest thing I remember him saying is, "We don't want you at Battle for Canada. We don't care if you go." And so many other things, but honestly, Laura Lynn, like I can't remember them. I just remember the rage coming out of him. I just remember that I could not move. I remember I could not say anything. The only thing I could say was so quietly, because I felt like I literally had gone into shock. Why I was being attacked like this, I had no idea. And all I got out was Art. That was it. That was it. I don't know how long I was in there. I don't know what else was spoken to me. I do know that at the end of that lovely meeting, I left his office and I went to I just needed to get out of that building. And I walked through like the little kitchen area and I went through the back door and I was in the parking lot and I saw my car and I just kept walking towards my car and I wasn't crying. I just wanted to get in my car. And I heard the back door open and I heard Nicole's voice and she yells out, "Marcia, we're not finished." And I thought, oh my gosh, like I had nothing left. I was so upset. And I don't know why, but I did turn around and I went back. I don't know why. I should have quit right then and right there. But I walked in and this is what she said to me. And I just want to say, if you don't change your behavior, we will not be bringing you back in September. Because I had just been informed, this is another thing, that they were closing July and August, so I had no pay for 60 days without knowing that. And now they're telling me they're not going to bring me back in September because of my behavior. And so I just, okay, I just went, got in the car, and I think I cried honestly for 3 days. I just cried. And anytime I have a problem with someone, I say, God, like, search my heart. Like, what is it? Do they see something on me that I need to deliver? Like, what was that? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, the only thing I did wrong was I thought I was included. I was told I was on the staff bus. Like, was that like a crime? Like, it's okay if I you don't want me there, that's okay. I went anyways to Battle for Canada. Like, I ended up
Can I
going
ask you, was that
anyways.
the Battle for Canada in Winnipeg?
Yes.
Okay, so So Winnipeg seems to have really gone off the rails. It is
It was,
2022. This is when
yes,
Howard Olson was yelled at in the middle
yes.
of this. I want to show a little clip of Art Lucier, not just with people, but behind the scenes. And in this clip, he's actually yelling at Brother John. Take a look.
This is typical of a lot of people. There was this guy on Facebook yesterday, and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry for offending you. You didn't offend me, you turd. You know what you did? I'm not hurt. It's like I'm sick of this false understanding of the prophets. You know, so he comes on. This guy, I'm calling him John. This is not his name. But he does this long post saying it's a terrible year for the prophets. And he said, here's a couple things that he says. He says, not one of the prophets prophesied in 2019 what was going to happen in 2020. Hey, buddy, I'm going to call you John. I'm going to call you a snake. You're wrong. Actually, different prophets did. So you're false right there. This guy's coming against prophets, coming against, he goes on. Oh, it's been a rough year for the prophet. No, it's been a rough year for the false church. Are you stupid? Well, of course you trust God and his word. I'm not going to listen to men. Men, are you saying, well, you got to listen to God. But what you're saying is, this is what I wrote. Your statement has an appearance of wisdom, but it's a duh moment, like duh, and yet unbiblical. For you're insinuating you're not supposed to listen to men. You're not supposed to listen to prophets. That's wrong. That's unbiblical. Listen, so there's an attack here. There's a major attack, even from mainstream washed up ministers who are coming against the prophets. And if you're a religitard and you're not even sure that the Holy Ghost is for today, jump back in your Bible or go and get on your knees and repent for rejecting the Holy Ghost, and go and find a bunch of Bible believers and have them pray for you and to rebuke that religious spirit that holds back the Spirit of God. Who are you, oh man, to hold back God and to be scared of the movement of the Holy Ghost? Are you scared of what the old people or the religious people, young or old, the religious people in your church are going to say? They're probably not even Christians. Why don't you just let the Holy Ghost move and become a real church? And by the way, I could care less what any religitard thinks of me at all.
So this kind of outburst is basically what you're talking about, seeing Art Lucier just go unhinged. The time is, the year is 2022. In the background, some things that I know of that I don't have the liberty to share, but some things were going on. Art was behaving badly. I'm going to put it that way. And he was inappropriately doing some things with pictures and whatnot. I'm going to say that something was very wrong at that church, and
Yes.
you wouldn't have known about any of that. I don't think that you know about this saga in the background, but this man is unhinged and now treating you very badly. So continue your story.
So then for some crazy reason, through all of this, I've had to look back and think, how was any of this okay? And how did I keep going back? It was like I've had to
Like
really
Stockholm
search my heart.
syndrome. There's someone who's written a book. It's
Seriously.
called Church Stockholm Syndrome, and it is kind of like a part of this. We have brutal, controlling, narcissistic, bizarre leaders, and people just can't leave. Like they're mortified. It's like crazy making. It's an abusive relationship. Go
It's
ahead.
it's it's so abusive. But anyways, okay, so I decide to go to Battle for Canada, and I get there and I have volunteered my time. And so they have put me as a greeter at the very front doors. So I think I greeted about 2,000 people in 3 days. And I work I just I didn't take very many breaks. And anytime I did go back to the hotel, my leader would like phone me and say, "Can you just come back again?" And so I just, yeah, like it was just a lot, but I
Right.
loved it. I loved blessing everybody that walked in, and they would bless me, and the energy, and it was amazing. So I loved it. I was exactly where the role I was supposed to be in. Here's the thing about this though. There was this security lady. She was in charge of this whole building we were in. And she would like pop out where I was greeting people. And so there was this one woman that came in, and everybody had to have tickets. Okay. So this woman comes in, she gives me a ticket, and she goes, "Listen, I brought a guest. Can I bring the guest?" And she doesn't have a ticket. And I looked at the guest, and it was obviously like a homeless woman who was like very broken. I just felt a broken spirit. And so I say, just bring her in, bring her in. That's what we're there for. We're there for the homeless. We're telling people, we're literally telling people, evangelists, go out, bring people, bring people. You know, this security woman comes flying over, says to the lady who brings the guest, "You're not allowed, she has no ticket, she can't come in." And I'm saying, whoa, wait. No. We want people to come in. We want people to come in. And she's like, no. And she wouldn't let this woman in. And this woman was so broken. And I think it took everything in her heart to even be able to think she could come in. And then she was turned away. Oh, Laura Lynn, my heart. I just prayed for this woman for days, like just watch that happen. And so I thought, we're not doing this. This is not okay. I tried to talk to the security guard. Oh, she was like, it was not good. So I phoned my leader right away and said, "Look at this, we've got a problem here. I don't know how to solve it, but I thought we're sending groups of evangelists out to bring people in and we're turning them away." Like, it doesn't even make sense. So he said, "Come on, let's meet." We met. He came up with a brilliant idea. He gave me extra tickets and said, "When people come to the front, as you're greeting them, Marcia, just give them the extra ticket. And then the security can't say anything. They walk in with a ticket." Perfect. Perfect answer. So that solved the problem. It was easy. It solved the problem. And then people were coming in that the evangelists were bringing. So it was great. After the 3 days, I was exhausted. And instead of Nicole thanking me, she brings, I don't want to name names, so she brings my leader and me and brings us together, and we get disciplined for not going to her with this problem. There was no purpose or no need to go to her. I went to my leader. That's what my instruction was. If there's a problem, go to your leader. She doesn't thank me for greeting 2,000 people. She doesn't thank me. Oh, that's the other thing. I heard Howard Olson. His rendition of everything is beyond perfect. Everything he said was so on point, even to the point of being in that eating area, not having a badge and being kicked out. I had a badge and I was kicked out by Nicole.
Okay. So it was
Okay.
Nicole
I had a
in that
badge
area.
and I
Okay.
went into the eating area and I was a volunteer that was working nonstop and I got kicked out
Why?
by Nicole.
Why?
Because they had a group and I wasn't ever part of that group.
Right. Just like you're not allowed on the
I
bus.
just
Get off the bus. I want
not
to.
staff.
I appreciate this so much. Yeah, I realize that we kind of forgot to tie in why Art missed the meeting with you. So as soon as you're done this story, let's not forget to
No,
tie in.
I'm done this story. I'm done.
Okay.
It doesn't
I
need
mean,
any more
it's
time.
so
We're good.
one of the things that you did was you found out when on April 1st, when you had the April Fool's Day of several meetings that never happened with Art, and he was so busy, something had come up. You go
So
on Facebook.
important.
Yeah. And we have the pictures here, so you can see at the bottom. It is April 1, 2022. And Art is, I think this was the important thing that was happening. I don't know who this guy is actually, myself.
I
I don't
don't
know if
know.
you do. But it was a buddy. And so he put a post up basically. Did you just find this on social media?
Yes.
So just a blazing lack of concern for those investing their time and effort and kindness and love to make a children's ministry that clearly Heather Lucier certainly does not want.
And you know, every leadership meeting, maybe not everyone, but many, I would ask Art in the meeting with all the leaders of every department was in this meeting every week. And I would ask Art, would you pray for the children? Would you please pray for the children? We needed covering. Like things were going absolutely great, but there was still warfare. I mean, we're teaching the next generation. There's warfare. We needed covering. I wasn't asking for prayer for me. I was asking prayer for the teachers and the volunteers. And well, I guess I was a teacher too, but like, and the children. I was asking prayer for that. And every time it was no. And even one of the people around the table one week said, I think we need to start praying for the children. And he got mad at them right in front of me, in front of everybody. He got mad at this person for even suggesting we pray for the children. And one particular night we were doing children's ministry, and the MC, we had all the kids up front with worship. We did that every week. And the MC, I always tried to figure out when to bring, like, take 32 kids and like 6 volunteers and teachers and like everybody out and not create a ruckus. We were in the front of the church. It's not going to be a quiet moment, you know, it's not going to be quiet. But this particular MC, I looked at him at the exact time, and it was like, I looked at him like, okay, I'm going to take the kids now. And he stopped me and he prayed for me and the teachers and all the volunteers and the children, and it was so beautiful, and I was so grateful for him to do this. And I just thought, wow, like it touched me so deeply. And so we went down and we did children's ministry. Well, he came down a very short time later and he was so upset. And he said he got in trouble. And I honestly can't remember if it was Art that got really upset with him or Nicole. It was one of those two. And he told me he got in trouble for praying for us and the children. And that the next time he cannot do that. And I mean, I didn't want to talk bad about Art and
I'm
Nicole
having a
behind their
hard time
back.
like following. Like I'm so I'm not understanding what is the problem. Most churches, even just for order to know when the children can go. Why is this a problem for Art Lucier to pray for kids?
You know what? I don't know the answer. And so I just stopped asking and just got our team praying, and God came through for us. I guess we didn't need it, but I just felt the pastor of that church, like we were under his covering. Like it was just, I wasn't asking him. I was asking for whoever the MC was. Like, why couldn't they just put a blessing over us before we started teaching them? Like, it was very disturbing. Honestly, it was disturbing. And to have this MC go and just pray for us, because, well, I don't want to say who it was, but like, he got in trouble, and
The MC got in trouble
I
for praying for kids.
like, is that the craziest thing you could ever imagine?
Help me,
And
Lord.
I was talking to a
Oh.
parent at that point when he was telling me, and I didn't want to disrespect Art or Nicole. I didn't want to say anything negative. So I just looked at him and said, I understand. And that was it. And we've never really had an opportunity to really discuss that. It was just so difficult. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I want to show you a clip of Heather Lucier in, ironically, 2022. I'm not
Okay.
certain of the exact date, JT, on this, but same year. And Heather's telling everyone to basically line up and get in order because the apostle Art is leading. And if you want to have a home group, I don't care. Well, let me just show it to you. Take a look.
We're not necessarily, a seeker-friendly church. We worship for more than 15 to 20 minutes because God has called us to be a worshiping church. We don't have a great children's program because really our main assignment is warring. It's kind of hard to take kids with you to war. Now, I'm not saying that might change, but for right now, we've had people leave our church. All they talk about is war. They're fighting this and fighting that and standing up here and doing this and slapping that. Okay, but that's the assignment. That's our call.
There are ranks in this house. And maybe you went to a church there were no ranks, and that's fine. But you're here now. And we have some ranks. Okay? Art is the apostle of the house. I'm his wife. So by default, we are highest ranking in this house. And we have leadership under us. There's Bill, he's a director, and there's Kurt, we've brought him on as a pastor, and we've got Wendy, and she's a leader, and we have ranks. There's Holly. I want to say this carefully. So I'm just going to use Kurt as an example. Kurt is a pastor and overseer of the home groups. So if you want to run a home group, or if you want to be a part of the home group, he gets to make the calls because we've given him that authority. Now, you might think, well, I've been around for 30 years, and I used to run a home group for 30 years, and I'm older than Kurt is, and I know more than Kurt does, and I think I should run the home groups. Well, I don't really care what you've done or who you might think you are. At this point in time, Kurt is in charge of the home groups. So if Kurt makes a call, guess what? You get to fall in line because he outranks you in that area. Do you understand? Okay, Wendy, she's in charge of altar ministry. Wendy's an amazing woman. She's been around a long time. She's in charge. She wants you to line up here for altar ministry. And then I don't know why we got to line up on the right side. Why can't we line up on the left side? There's 2 aisles. Why can't we line up on both sides? Why she got to be like that? It's funny, but it's not funny because I actually hear stuff like this. I don't want to wait in line on the right side. Why? What's wrong with the left side? There's people over there that can pray. Why I got to be up over here? Do you know why? Because she's in charge of altar ministry. It's that simple. We, as her leaders, have given her charge, and then she gets to give you charge. So if you want prayer, you line up over here until Wendy says line up somewhere else. Do you get it? It's not that hard, but it's coming into alignment. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's not just a matter of doing it, but you have to get it in here and understand that we have an order.
To know who you are. So, we have all these voices.
You come in under us and you don't do anything outside of what we tell you. And the irony of what I know about that time frame, what Art and Heather were going through, and this sort of lording over everyone, this commandant type of thing, is this sort of, how things were? Like, does this resonate with what things were like at that time?
I think 100%, but I just found every time there wasn't a problem, somehow a problem occurred. Like they twisted things where there became a problem when there wasn't any problem. And then you were dealt with in like first Nicole and then Art would come in to just finish off. Like there wasn't, they created so much drama that didn't need to be drama. And like I remember just with what you were talking about in prayer, I remember one time I was in the church and they had called somebody up and they were praying for them, and there was people around this person to pray for them, and all I did was extend my hand to be in agreement. I did not interrupt the prayer. It's just I knew the person and I wanted to be in agreement with the prayer. An usher came over and told me I was not allowed to pray, and which is so hysterical because I was invited, I was asked to be part of the prayer ministry, and I said no because the children's ministry was way too much and they couldn't imagine taking. But I was told not to pray in the church for my friend, and like because I
And
wasn't
you're a
on the prayer
leader. You're a
ministry,
leader.
and
You're a leader on staff in the church for prayer ministry for the church. I mean, for the kids. I'm sorry, and you're not allowed to pray.
so I just unextended my hand, but prayed in my heart anyways. Like it was just so crazy. You can't make it up. You can't make this up.
And this is the crazy that's going on, not just in Harvest Church, but all kinds of places. This movement of the apostolic has become a self-righteous, self-aggrandizement of follow the leader and make sure you're in line, or and control tactics that are used to dehumanize and bring down
Yes.
someone's self-esteem. Absolutely shocking.
It's shocking. You know, one time I remember I like for our team, what we always did was encourage and lift each other up. And so I when Heather, I dealt with Heather a little bit, and when she did like a sermon or worship or something like that, if I loved her worship and it touched my heart, I would send her an email and say, you know, thank you, worship last night was beautiful. Or I don't know, if she did a sermon that I enjoyed, I would say the same, like I would send her an email. And anyways, I was in a meeting with Nicole and she looks at me and she says, "What are these emails that you're sending, Heather?" And I said, "What do you mean?" Like, it was just an email that I sent to Heather. I don't even know how this is any of Nicole's business. But she's like, "Well, you're sending these emails to her and she doesn't want them. Can you stop sending these emails?"
Wow.
And I thought, wow, got it. Yep, no problem. We're totally understand. I got it.
You
No
will
problem.
never get a complimentary
Never,
email from me again. No worries.
never, never.
What is this? What is that kind of nastiness? It's actually beyond normal. It is beyond normal. The word says that if you are to be an elder or leader of a church, that you would be given to hospitality, that you would be kind, you would have the fruit of the Spirit, bare minimum, just kindness. This is like tearing down the people in your vicinity through whatever means necessary. And I know we have somebody waiting in the wings to speak that has had some experience, but I want to give you, Marcia, a chance to make sure that you have shared, because you said you had 37 pages. So we might have to have you on again for a sequel. But is there some, another story you'd like to share, or should we?
Well, I think there's there's a lot, but I think there's one that I do
Yeah.
need to share. And this is the last one I'll share and why I decided to leave. So I went into a meeting with Nicole, and a couple of things happened. The first thing on my agenda was I wanted to ask for a raise. So she said, okay, we had some papers we needed photocopy. She said, and she actually like listened to me and agreed with me, which was it was nice for a change. And so she said, I'm going to go to the photocopy. What I want you to do is go into Heather's office and ask her straight up for a raise. Then we'll meet back in this office. And I said, okay. So she got up, she went to the photocopier. I knocked on Heather's door. Her door was open. She told me to come in. And so I like timidly went up to Heather and said, listen, Heather, I was wondering if we could discuss me getting a raise. She got so angry at me. And she said, this is something you need to go to Art, this exact tone, Art about. You need to make an appointment and go in. But you know what? He is so busy, you're probably not going to get an appointment. So I just stood there and I was so embarrassed. I thought, why did I even ask? And I just started to apologize. I said, I'm so sorry. I should never have come in here. I apologize. I should have just booked an appointment with you. I just came in and I'm really sorry, Heather. I'm really sorry. I walk out. I go back into the office where Nicole and I are going to meet back up. And she comes in and the look on my face, and I said, you sent me in there. You sent me in there. I did what you told me to do. And that was the problem. Every single thing was a setup. You know, it was like it was just a setup. So again, I was absolutely attacked. So during that meeting, what happened was I overheard Nicole on the phone, and I knew who she was talking to. I was right there. And she was just berating somebody. And then she gets off the phone, and there's another staff member in front of her, and she starts attacking this person and saying that they had lost something. And they were saying, no, I don't even know what you're talking about. No. And she wouldn't listen. She just kept attacking and attacking and attacking. And I went over to get her to stop, and she looked over at me and she stopped. And then later, I went up to this person. I said, I am so sorry. And I hugged her, and she said, it's just so hard. And I said, I know. And when I left there, and why I'm telling you this is when I left there, it was like God was saying, okay, when is enough going to be enough for you? Like, not only are you mistreated, but you're watching so many other people get mistreated. If this was blatant that day, like this was blatant, when is it going to be enough? Because God said to me, you know what? They're not attacking you. They're attacking who's in you. They're attacking Jesus in you. So are you going to stand up and continue this and allow this? Or are you going to get out of there? And so I did. The next day, I phoned Nicole and I said, I'm stepping down and I'll give you 2 weeks notice, because God kept saying, leave well, leave well. I kept hearing, leave well. So I had a meeting with Art the next day, and she's like, I'll phone you back. Phones me right back and says, you know what? We don't need the 2 weeks from you. You're finished today, and Art doesn't want to see you tomorrow. We've canceled the meeting. Okay. About half an hour, I cried. I got off that phone and I just cried. All my work, it was just so clear. And so then, like half an hour later, maybe, Nicole phones me back, and somehow the person she wanted to do children's ministry the following weekend was unavailable. So now she needed me. Now she's like, okay, well, maybe we'll just keep you for 1 more week. And I said, are you kidding me? How you just treated me? Like, but I did. I went back because I wanted to say goodbye to the children and everybody. Like, I knew I was leaving that church, and I was never, ever going back. and I was going to leave those children and the teachers and my team and the parents and my home group. I was leaving everything that was under him. So I did.
Wow. But you left well, and
Thank
you
you.
honored God in everything that you could possibly do. I want to just show you again, Art and Heather and Nicole have basically been together for a long time. And here, I think this was just, I think maybe even a year ago, where they are being commissioned. Nicole is in the orange there on the left. And, just always there with them. And this group basically being blessed, being ushered into ministry more and more and more, with a trail of disastrous relationships behind them. And Brother John Elving has really been covering, this. You can see this group, and some just strangeness about them. That's all I'm going to say. So that is shocking, and I guess that ended your children's ministry. But I guess someone else, could you tie us up to today? Because someone else, I guess, what took over from where you left off with the incredible work that you did with the children's ministry, never being thanked and being bullied and harassed and told that you were less than. Someone else took it, and then what happened?
I don't know. Like when I left, I left. And you know what I've noticed too? Being able to like do all of this is it really showed me there was so many people anointed. Like, you know how everybody's saying right now, don't touch the anointed, don't touch the anointed, don't speak on the pastors, whatever. But it was like everybody that I saw had different anointings, and they were the ones that were being attacked. They were the ones that like it was just awful. They were being attacked, the anointed ones, not Art. The ones that were anointed were being attacked.
So I'm so blessed to have been able to share
God
this
bless
time
you.
with you. And Marsha, I'll just give you a final closing word.
Oh, wow. I think what I would say to finish this up is I would just, well, I'm going to go right in. I'm going to say that I really feel like this is a cult. Like there's a cult leader, and that I've been part of, like I've been a member of a cult, and I'm just devastated with that truth. But I believe that really was what that was. Now looking back, hindsight's 2020. Just I just, going forth, I just hope all of us, I pray for all those that are still blind, but just going forth, I just hope all of us like never allow that kind of mistreatment again. It's just super sad, and a lot of healing has to be done for a lot of us. And just thank you, Laura Lynn, for your bravery and your courage. You inspire us all. Honestly, you're really, you're just so anointed for what you're doing right now. So thank you so much.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just thank you for being so honest about that, your perspective, And to be honest, it's not just your perspective on what has happened here. Person after person is shockingly harmed. And even with speaking with you personally, when we got together, Marsha, I hope it's okay to say, like, this was so hard. You cried, like this was, you've been mortified by what's happened, and you have to literally heal from this, and you did really good today. And I pray the Lord
Thank
does
you.
bring healing. Yeah.
Amen.
So
Thank
wow.
you.
Thank you to both of you as we wade through
Thank you.
this epic tale.